Did you know a pistol can basically become an assault rifle? I found that out today from the President of the United States.
Pistols, modified with stabilizing braces, with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace hook in a pencil essentially makes that pistol a hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle. As a result, it's more lethal, effectively turning it into a short-barreled rifle. That's what the alleged shooter in Boulder appears to have done. I want to be clear that these modifications to firearms that make them more lethal should be subject to the National Firearms Act.
Joining me now to talk about that and other things is legal fellow with Heritage, Amy Swearer. Amy, I thought lethal was the whole point.
It absolutely is. So let's even assume that everything else that President Biden said there is absolutely undeniably true, which is questionable. That's the whole point, is that you want law-abiding citizens who are statistically going to use these guns far more often for lawful purposes than criminals are for criminal purposes. You want them to have guns that are, one, going to stop threats to them, two, that they're going to be able to handle accurately and effectively. Why would you want law-abiding citizens to have less accurate, less effective firearms when their lives are on the line? That just doesn't make any sense. It defeats the entire purpose of the Second Amendment.
Amy, how right is he? I mean, you're the legal fellow, and I certainly am not. How right is he about these things being under the NFA?
Well, as it stands right now, under how federal law is written, if we're talking about things like attachments that actually go on to pistols themselves, there's a little bit of a gray area. It has never been considered as part of a short-barreled rifle in that sense. I think there are a lot of other distinctions between what the NFA actually defines as a short-barreled rifle and what these different components that can be added onto pistols actually accomplish. And then you start run into the problems of, okay, so let's say that they can put under the NFA just arbitrarily, unilaterally, without rewriting the law, things like AR-15 pistols, which have never been considered as being under the NFA. Let's say they can do this. Well, now you still have very much lawful full-sized AR-15s that are just, slightly bigger versions of the same gun. You've accomplished nothing except, if people want a shorter version, now they have to pay whatever it is, the $200 tax and go through the NFA process. So even if it's completely constitutional, completely lawful, they've really accomplished nothing. There's nothing in terms of policy that suggests that this is going to be a useful benefit to the American people.
Amy, you keep using the word legal, and I'm so glad you came on here tonight because I need clarification both for myself and for everyone watching. An executive order versus a law.
Right.
Did Joe Biden essentially pass a law today? Is it legal? What does this take effect in the next 30 seconds? Are you and I already lawbreakers? Break this down legally for me. What is it?
So it is the job of Congress to write laws. So Congress writes, passes laws. What the executive branch does, whether it is the president or executive agencies, is they enforce the law. Now, sometimes if the law isn't clear, there's a little bit of leeway for agencies like the ATF or the FBI to sort of flesh out, broader definitions, but they can't just rewrite the law. And especially when you look at, for example, the suggested orders about so-called ghost guns. Granted, we don't have the order or the proposed rule, but assuming they do what a lot of people think they're going to do, which is attack what are known as 80% receivers, 80% complete receivers, we already have problems right now with federal courts throwing out criminal cases that federal prosecutors are bringing, where they're saying, oh, well, we think the definition of a firearm is now this. And federal courts keep saying, no, that's not what Congress says the law is. You don't, ATF, FBI, DOJ, just get to arbitrarily rewrite that. And so it seems that is what Biden is suggesting federal agencies do, is just sort of rewrite the law and say, well, everything is a firearm now.
Okay, explain what you're talking about, because I could see people's eyes glazing over when you use the word ghost guns or 80% lower receiver. People don't know what I know what these words mean, but people do not.
Right. So as it stands right now, you can, and there's a long tradition in American history of people essentially building their own guns. Gunsmithing is a long tradition in this country. And one of the ways you can do that now is to get what are known as gun kits, where you can sort of mix and match, and you're not buying a gun per se, but you're buying different components that you can then put together and do work on to sort of smith your own gun. Now, a lot of these is the way the law is written. You don't have to have them, stamped with, traceable numbers or anything like that. They don't have to be registered because you're building them for yourself. Because the way the law is written, again, these are not considered firearms. They're just bare components. They're blocks of metal, essentially, metal and plastic, and you have to put them together to create a firearm. And so what Biden is essentially suggesting is, hey, these separate pieces that are not firearms and the way the law is written, we're gonna regulate them the way that we would firearms. So it's, you start running into these problems of where do you stop? Do you start regulating sales of plastic and metal that people can now put together in 3D printers? The law defines a firearm. It defines it in a specific way. It does not include these various components that you can put together. And the executive branch does not get to arbitrarily, unilaterally decide that, well, actually, the law says these are firearms now.
Thanks for watching the Heritage Foundation's YouTube channel. With more than 500,000 members, we are the nation's largest conservative research and education institution. We believe the principles and ideas of the American founding are worth conserving and renewing. Please help us further our mission by subscribing to this channel and sharing our videos with your family and friends.